Hello there, my name is Anthony Barocas with IEBA Communications. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about an accessory that I'm pretty excited to check out because I use the GH4 for my video shooting. The GH4 is a great 4K camera, interchangeable lens. You can put almost any lens you want on it. And another really great feature of the camera is this tilt swivel screen. So in addition, you don't just have it on the back and you always have to put your eye up to it. It can swing out so you can look down, you can hold it up. You know, you've got that flexibility in terms of you can even turn it around and show other people, or if you're shooting yourself, you can see your shot from in front of the camera. It's very handy. The problem is LCD screen outside is hard to see. And then if you're trying to use the viewfinder, you know, especially if you've got other things attached to it, like a microphone or some sort of audio hookup for wireless or whatever, you know, if you're wearing a hat because it's outside, you know, you've got this thing and you got to take the hat off and, you know, and keep up in your eye and stuff like that. So you can't really see the screen because of the glare, and you can't really get to the viewfinder because you've got accessories, or maybe you've got it in a cage and it's hard to look at. What would really be nice is have a loupe that worked with the viewfinder. Now, Viewfinder came out with a loupe that worked with the GH2. It attached on the bottom of the camera with one screw, held itself in place, and then it accepted the LCD to slide in here, and then you could loosen the nut and tilt it up or tilt it down. In addition to that, you could flip it up out of the way to access the touchscreen, which of course the GH4 has a touchscreen for setting focus and adjusting different parameters. The downside with this is, I don't know, it's got this, you know, industrial plastic design and metal, but you had to loosen it every time you wanted to slightly adjust it and then tighten it again. It wasn't exactly the best access point for adjusting the tilt. And then it had this leather Velcro strap on the back for, I don't know, leather and Velcro. Didn't quite make sense. The diopter adjustment didn't lock down, so if you bumped it, it'd be off a little bit. And it has magnets that hold it closed. That's nice, but the downside is I have another model of this where the magnet has come out. So maybe that's why they did not reintroduce this Viewfinder loupe for the GH4. So the GH4 owners, of which there are lots and it's growing every day, have sort of been without a solution till the Viewfinder came out. Now, I got this package, you know, my unboxing is basically going to be, it came in a fully taped up package, which was then saran wrapped for any moisture, and inside the box was a lot of bubble wrap, and then you get the Viewfinder, which is this. It's, I don't know, it feels like hard plastic and metal. So there's plastic parts and there's metal parts. Now, this has a hinge. So already I see an improvement. The fact that it rotates along the same center point as the hinge on the camera. That's a good thing, as opposed to trying to slide in an arc. That was never really a great solution. Also, it's a friction hinge. You can tighten it, but it's always available to move. So you don't have to like loosen it, move, sorry, I got my hat, oh, still turn around. So you don't have to loosen it and then move it and then retighten it. It's always available to move. It opens up so you can still use the touch screen as needed, and it doesn't have magnets, so there's no clicking and clacking. It just has a little latch on the bottom, so it'll lock into place. It does have a diopter adjustment on this red ring here, so you can adjust left and right here. It's got a little scale on top, so if you got different people who have different settings, you can easily go back and forth between the two of them. And in addition, it also has an LCD viewfinder, or not a viewfinder, it has a shutter. So you can open the shutter, look at your shot, close the shutter so that the optics of the viewfinder, of the loupe, don't, you know, if the sun is right overhead, burn a hole or damage your LCD, which is good thinking. And it also protects the optics in the viewfinder itself. So with that, let's take a quick look at how this goes on. It comes in two parts, and it comes with a hex key. Or you could use a screwdriver because the screw on the bottom has both the hex and a flat bladed adjustment. It has several mounting points on the bottom. It has 3 holes, of which I don't know what they're for because they don't show up on top. It has 2 1/4-20s and 1 3/8. It also has a strap. You can put a strap through on the back, and it has an Arca Swiss dovetail. So if you're already using Arca Swiss, which I'm not, then you could just use this as it is. There's a slot going through the whole thing. That's where the eyepiece arm comes in, and then it's got this little archway which helps keep this from rotating. So let's put this on here. I just have this on here to show the hat thing. So here's the bottom of the camera. You take this, obviously this is where the lens goes, so this goes in front. We'll use the hex key, and then we screw this in. It really just wants to sit in one place, and it doesn't turn. So that goes in very quickly. It doesn't move. It's very solid because it's also pulling right against the lens mount right here, which may pose a problem if you're using a Metabones and some other adapter which is slightly larger. I have the 12-35 on here, and I have about 2 millimeters of clearance before the bottom of this mount. So if you're using a larger lens, it's not going to fit. Now, you take the I don't know, I'll just call this the arm, and you slide the arm into the hole. So you also have to be careful of the viewfinder itself because you're sliding into both. So you slide it into the hole here, it slides in, covers the LCD. Now, there's 2 locking points. One locking point on the arm goes into the hole that's given on the bottom of the GH4. And personally, I love it when people make stuff that's for the GH4 and actually uses the holes on the bottom of the camera for twist compensation or to lock things down. I hate it when somebody says this is made for the GH4 and then you've got all this external clamping going on and they totally ignore the fact that there are mounting holes on the bottom of the camera. There's a second friction on the plate itself that holds the arm within the plate and holds the arm within the camera. So you've got 2 holding points on this arm. There's this little foot over here, which I thought was a really nice little feature because one thing the Varavon did not is if you've got all this weight hanging on the side, you put it down, it just keeps falling. This one actually sits nicely because they put a foot over here on this end of the arm. So when you put it down, it just sits there. I was like, okay, that's thinking it through. Because I'm sure they were building this thing, they put it down, it would go clunk and fall down and say, hey, let's just put a foot over there. So it's not rubberized or anything, but it's nice that it's there. Now, this snuggles up to the camera very closely. I found, I don't use the strap. I take the strap off, and generally I also take the little triangles off. But even if I took the triangles off, it does not spin around on my camera. Maybe they've got it set so it's a little further out, but then I don't think the locking point would fit into the hole in the camera because you really only have less than 1 millimeter to fit in there. So this is hitting the mounting point for the strap. These, I don't know, holes that come out don't come out of the camera. They are fixed. I can take the little triangle thing out of it, but I can't take that other piece out of the camera and get a smooth camera. So I've seen the video where they spin it around forward for storage, so it's all kind of along this line. Unless I really want to scratch this up or I find a way to scoot it out 2 more millimeters, it's not happening for me. Oh, quick update. I was able to play around with the mounting point on the bottom, and it is able to slide about 2 millimeters. So I pulled it out as far as I could, and then I tightened it up here, and I can spin it around to the front, but it is still pressing against that mounting point quite well, to the point where I'm now creating a groove in the side of the Vari loupe part. So what it can spin around for storage, that way it's one compact unit, but at the same time, it's not something I'm going to be doing a lot, so I guess that's okay. But I would have liked to have seen maybe the box part be a little bit thinner by about 1 millimeter or 2, to get around that bracket a little better. So it is possible, but with some caveats. Now, I can tilt it down, I can tilt it here, I can tilt it here, I can tilt it here, I can tilt it here. That's really what you want. So you're outdoors, the sun is beating down on you, you open the viewfinder up, you stick your eye in it. Now I can see, and I see the viewfinder, I don't see my eye, I don't see a reflection on the screen, I don't see any of that. So this way I can look at it, I can pull my eye away, I can look at it, I can pull my eye away, and it stays there. That's a really nice feature, especially if you got it on a tripod. Even if it's up high, you can tilt it down and come up to it and look. Now, the friction can be adjusted, but I wouldn't make it too tight so that it's not able to be bumped. You don't want to make it too tight. But like I said, this point right here goes all the way across right where the hinge is on the LCD itself. So it's really nice that you get the ability to use the LCD outdoors in bright sunlight, and you get this, bigger screen. The optics seem pretty darn good. The cup itself is stiff. This one's brand new. I just took it out of the box today. The cup is a bit stiff. I think over time it might soften up a little bit. I like this cup better than the G cup. I have the G cup for the viewfinder. The G cup, you really have to smush it against your eye to get to see the whole frame. This one, full coverage of the LCD, and even more than that, just with a comfortable look. And obviously it's only for your right eye. Like I said, if you want to open it up, you use the latch, you can reach in there, use the touch screen to set a focus point, and then close it up. Now, for me, I think this is a fairly indispensable piece of gear. I really like the fact that it is solid. It works with the GH4. It doesn't force the GH4 into any unnatural situation. But for me, I think this is a worthwhile accessory for your GH4, especially if you're outdoors doing run and gun or filmmaking and you need to be able to see something. You can still have your audio microphone input, as long as you don't go too far up, you can still use your microphone input. But this does, if you want to turn it either up a little bit or down a little bit, you turn it up, you're blocking the headphones. If you turn it down, you're blocking the HDMI. You can still use the HDMI and the headphones as long as you keep it perfectly level. Now that's worthwhile if you're going to record 10-bit to an external recorder, and you want to also check your audio, straight either from the HDMI or from the headphone out, so that you know that what the audio coming in is good. If you're recording audio into another device, then you don't need the headphone jack here. But you do need the HDMI out for your 10-bit audio or for a bigger monitor or to feed something else. So that is something that, it's a downside of the Panasonic itself, that this rotating screen is right next to all the ports. They could have put the ports along the front. They could have put the ports, along the bottom or along the top, somewhere else. But they decided to put them along the spot where this thing rotates, and then you want to rotate it and use it. So anyway, this has been my look at the Very Eye multi-angle viewfinder for the Panasonic GH4 and technically the GH3, since they're almost identical, except for, some minor adjustments in the camera. My name is Anthony Barocas with IEBA Communications. Thanks for watching.